Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. It's always the same thing with these pathetic Democrats. Every week or every other week, the Democrats believe that they've stumbled upon their ace. They convince themselves that they've found the magic bullet, the one story that's finally gonna take out Donald Trump, the smoking gun, the final nail. It's the beginning of the end. And this time, it was the Epstein issue, the Epstein files, the speculation that Donald Trump was, quote, hiding something. There's a massive cover-up at the DOJ, but of course I think this was an oversimplification, and clearly there's no evidence to actually back that conspiracy theory. I mean, it's possible, I'm not saying it's impossible, but you're certainly jumping to conclusions and making assumptions if you're immediately declaring that as fact. But of course, Democrats don't care about facts, they don't care about details, they certainly don't care about evidence, and so like clockwork, they jumped all over this thing and clearly overplayed their hand. Not exactly surprising considering I don't think this Epstein issue is really so favorable to them. But yeah, I guess they finally realized that, because now within a week, we've gone from Epstein is the end of Donald Trump to now Democrats running away from the issue. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. Another spectacular Democrat backfire and miscalculation. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So the media and the Democrats tried everything over the last week to make this Epstein story about Donald Trump. It's really a continuation of what they've been trying to do for the last 8 years, but they were absolutely giddy, I mean drooling over the idea that they could politicize this topic. And well, now look at Nancy Pelosi's rhetoric.
Is it your sense there's anything the president can do now to get his supporters to move off of the Epstein issue? Should he? Where do you land on this?
You know, again, this is a distraction. This is a distraction. We have major issues right here with things we're voting on today in the Congress. Again, in terms of the rescission that the president and the Senate have sent back over us to cut all of these resources out of helping poor people throughout the world, to be America play its leadership role in soft power to keep us safe and to keep us healthy, so that viruses know no boundary. And instead, we're talking about him, about this thing, and at his own basis has its own views of what the president should do. I'll leave it up to them to talk it out. But again, whether it's Jeffrey Epstein or Alcatraz, it's all off the subject of what they're doing with this budget that is harmful to the kitchen table, meeting the kitchen table needs of the American people.
I want to make sure I understand what you mean when you say distraction. Do you think that Pam Bondi going to Alcatraz is meant potentially as a distraction from Epstein, which has not gone over well at all with the president's base?
No, I think they're both distractions. I don't think she's going to Alcatraz. I think she's planned to do that. But I think that they're both off the subject of what is happening, changing the character and the culture of America.
Now, suddenly and conveniently, the whole Epstein files thing is simply a distraction. Oh, a distraction. I mean, excuse me? Weren't you guys just foaming at the mouth, all calling for the release of the files? Didn't Ro Khanna just add an amendment to the crypto bill, which would have totally released the files? And you guys were just blaming Republicans for, quote, protecting Epstein, for voting against this completely deranged amendment, which would have released a ton of abuse footage? Yeah, well, I guess all of that is gone with the wind. And here comes the actual Democrat stance. They don't want this stuff released, not even close. Now all of a sudden it's just a distraction. Pay no mind to that. How completely pathetic, and it's obvious what's going on here. They probably saw the polling data and realized that it was backfiring like hell, and so now they're trying to slam on the brakes and change the subject.
Congressional Democrats have been trying to seize on this. You hear them also parroting what you're hearing online, saying release the files, this is terrible, blah, blah, blah. I mean, is that working for them?
No, I mean, look, here's what's so important. You know, we talk about the potential of Republicans leaving Donald Trump. They're not leaving him. But what about congressional Democrats and problems with their own base? Democrats' net approval of congressional Democrats, according to Quinnipiac University, in June of 2025, it was their second worst ever at minus 12 points. Is that not low enough for you? How about we go even lower? In July of 2025, minus 13 points, their worst net approval rating for congressional Democrats among Democrats ever. Donald Trump is not the one who has problems with this political base. It is congressional Democrats are the ones who have problems with their own political base.
We've even got CNN now admitting that Trump's approval rating with GOP voters has actually gone up since the whole Epstein story started. And look, let's be real for a second. I mean, I'm not here to shill for Donald Trump. I'm not going to sit here and say that he's handled this issue perfectly. He hasn't. In fact, I'm very dissatisfied with how the White House is treating this issue. But I'm also not jumping to conclusions. I'm also being patient and trying to understand what's actually going on. Am I devastated and betrayed? No. Am I disappointed and confused? Sure. You know, it's kind of frustrating to hear the president say that he's going to be releasing the files. He said it during the campaign season. He also said it recently. But then at the same time, he's refusing to appoint a special counsel to investigate the Epstein matter.
The president said that he floated the idea of a special prosecutor in the Epstein case. Can you confirm that? And has he asked the Attorney General to do this, to appoint a special prosecutor to look it over?
Well, the idea was floated from someone in the media to the president. The president would not recommend a special prosecutor in the Epstein case. That's how he feels. And as for his discussions with the Attorney General, I'm not sure.
Look, there's just a lot of conflicting stuff, and I understand why it makes people think, oh, is this a cover-up? But if we listen to the explanation from this team, they seem to have a different response.
Can you clarify which part of the Epstein hoax is the hoax part?
The president is referring to the fact that Democrats have now seized on this as if they ever wanted transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, which is an asinine suggestion for any Democrat to make. The Democrats had control of this building, the White House, for 4 years, and they didn't do a dang thing when it came to transparency in regards to Jeffrey Epstein and his heinous crimes. It was this president who directed the Department of Justice and the Attorney General to do an exhaustive review of all files related to Jeffrey Epstein, which they did. The Attorney General and the FBI, led by Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, these are great patriots, some of the most trusted voices in the Republican Party movement. It's part of the reason the president appointed them to these high law enforcement positions, and they spent many months going through all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein, and they concluded what they found in that memo, which they drafted and they released. And so the president has been transparent. He has followed through on his promises to the American people, but he doesn't like to see Democrats and the mainstream media covering this like it's the biggest story that the American people care about.
Caroline Levitt is describing Donald Trump's frustration with the Epstein story, or I guess with the resurgence of the Epstein story, as being grounded in the fact that he believes that it's taking away from what he's actually trying to accomplish. And he's calling it a hoax because it's obvious that Democrats are attempting to create this narrative around it to make the Epstein story about him. And to a certain extent, look, I can see that. Again, when it comes to stuff like this, and I'm just operating in the dark, I mean, I don't know what's in those files. I don't know what's in Donald Trump's head. I don't know what the truth is. So it's hard to jump to any conclusion, but the one truth that I know to be true is that the Democrats are full of you-know-what here. And Trump does have a point that the Epstein story is being politicized against him right now. And so maybe he just simply wants it to go away. He doesn't want to give the opportunity for the Democrats to now jump on this thing and politicize it and use it against him. And that's obviously what's happening. I mean, just take a look at this moment. It's quite telling from MSNBC. Just look at Jamie Raskin's response.
The congressman, you could have gotten that from 21 to 25 when Democrats controlled the DOJ. Why? It was a crisis then. It's a crisis now. Why didn't Democrats call for it from 21 to 25?
I mean, you'd have to go back and look specifically at particular prosecutorial decisions and what was taking place in terms of the other cases. I don't know. We could try to reconstruct that record. But the point is that Donald Trump is the one who has led the crusade to say that Epstein, who was his very close friend, and there's all kinds of pictures of them.
I mean, when you're getting grilled like that by Morning Joe, you really know that this isn't your issue. All of a sudden, Democrats are so concerned about the Epstein story after spending over a decade completely ignoring it and pretending like it doesn't exist. Just another right-wing conspiracy theory, right? But now suddenly they're pretending to care. I mean, they're absolute frauds. And so in this sense, you know, I understand the president's frustration, but at the end of the day, Democrat shenanigans or not, this is just an issue that I don't think this administration is going to be able to run away from. I don't think they'll be able to shove it under the rug. And so honestly, I hope the push for the release of the files continues. But the idea that this was going to be the next Watergate, that Trump was hiding something incriminating that would essentially implode his entire administration? I mean, come on, guys. Are we really there? Joe Biden's team had these files for 4 frickin' years. Meanwhile, they were trying everything to tank Donald Trump in his campaign. And now you mean to tell me they had the smoking gun the entire time and they just sat on it? And now Donald Trump's trying to make it disappear? Absolutely frickin' not. No way. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. And obviously, if the Democrats had something, they wouldn't be calling it a distraction so quickly, now would they? And don't even get me started on the Wall Street Journal piece that just dropped, literally as I'm recording this video. I'll probably make a separate video for that releasing tomorrow. But I mean, come on, it's so obvious they've got absolutely nothing. They're desperately grasping at straws and it's already backfiring spectacularly. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.